Croeso pawb. Hello and welcome to the Play for the Dragon podcast. Wales sports music, definitely not in that order either. No Lewis this week, unfortunately. He's a busy chap. Just me and Sam today then. How are you doing, buddy? Okay?
I'm cracking, mate. How are you doing yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Just sweating to death in the heat, and you look like you're at that same point yourself, mate, in that lovely purple Rex on top.
Mate, honestly, you think you'd be used to having lived in Spain for a couple of years now, but it's just still, I'm just a sweaty mess. I never look more foreign than I do in the summer, honestly.
Like Mick Hucknall and Ibiza.
Genuine.
Poor lad. I've got a sad story for you anyway. You remember my beautiful bucket hat that we got in Cardiff on a Judgment Day weekend?
Oh,
I've had for I can't seem to find it, mate. I've been looking for my various bits because I think I left it at Ella's house in Chester. Can't spot it there.
Mate.
Not in our house either. So I've searched high and low and real for it as well. Been back there for months before. So
in time to get a new one.
It is. It was getting a bit.
Get yourself down to Bala. Get down to Spirit 58.
I'll have to. Tim Williams, if you're listening, let us know what time you're open, please. He does anyway, to be fair, on Twitter. So
there's some cool ones. I really want the Patagonia one. These
yeah. Saw a picture of that before. It looks really good.
They're good. There's some good Yes Cymru ones as well. Just big up Yes Cymru. There's a really nice red Yes Cymru one that's just come out. It's bucket hat season. You give it like, I don't know. Well, on the weekend, I imagine everyone will be walking around in the bucket hats. You hope so, at least, So I'll be doing it. I'll be doing it in the Spanish sun, but mainly just to stop myself from becoming more of a tomato than I already am. So
you're gonna find a pub with a game on. Oh.
I don't reckon they'll show it. I'm going to be using a VPN. If you're listening, the BBC. Also, I'm not going to be using a VPN. I'm probably going to try my best to watch an S4C and hope for the best. If not, I'm going to have. Well, here I think all the games are going to be on Movie Star, which is expensive, man. So I'm probably going to have like the registration page open with all my details filled in, ready for when my VPN fails me and I inevitably have to pay £15 a month for the next 6 months or whatever, just to see like 3 games before we inevitably get, knocked out just because I paid for 15 quid for it,
It's a very negative way of thinking about it, but I understand your trepidation. It's like having to pay for the pay-per-view halfway through, you stayed up till 4 or 5 in the morning to watch Floyd Mayweather box for the 50th time in Vegas, and then your stream crashes and he wants 50-60 quid, doesn't he, anyway, because you're a greedy bugger. So
did you watch it?
I did not, mate. I muted it all on Twitter. I couldn't be bothered. As soon as I heard that there was going to be no judges, so no winner declared, if you will, there was only going to be a winner if there was a knockout.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? It's just it's a sparring match, basically.
It's like as if Soccer Aid got more views than the World Cup final.
Pretty much.
It's ridiculous.
Could you imagine the celebrity boxing type of fights we'd have over here? I don't know, Danny Dyer up against Piers Morgan, something like that.
Danny Dyer is a great shout for that, I reckon. Gordon Ramsay? Gordon Ramsay would be good on it, I reckon.
Freddie Flintoff could get back into it. He had the boxing. I think he got a knockout or 2, actually. I think he won his first pro fight. Idris Elba's had a professional kickboxing fight as well. I think he's expressed an interest in boxing.
Ooh, we all love Idris Elba, don't we?
Oh, he should be the next James Bond, let's be honest.
Is there a more universally loved man in Britain?
I mean, Sky clearly love him. He's on every single advert. So
if
anyone's going to get Murdoch's money, let it be Elba.
Aye. Hoping for a Luther movie in the future as well. Fingers crossed.
That'd be good.
I'd be lovely.
Have you seen the final season of that? They left on a bit of a cliffhanger. Well, not really a cliffhanger,
I saw it a while ago, and then I was rewatching it quite recently from the beginning, and it trailed off for me. And I don't remember it trailing off so much the first time, but as it went on, it trailed off. So I don't know, maybe a movie would reignite it a little bit for me. I don't know, but either way, gotta love Idris Elba, big love.
Yeah, I thought they went a bit strong when they did that season reboot with the woman from Game of Thrones in it, but they Jon Snow. Put her in it, didn't they? She was. I think her partner got blown up, and then she
got blown up in the fridge. Aye,
that's the one.
That's it.
The milk's off. Every student knows it's a ticking time bomb, that fridge,
Aye.
Anyway, we've got a lot to get through today. I don't know if you're going to spend too long on the Albania game because it's a bit more feisty than you'd expect for a friendly.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was properly fiery, but I don't know what we were expecting from an Albania team, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to feed into the stereotypes or anything, but they're not known to be the most, I don't know, chill of people, I suppose.
Not winning the FIFA Fair Play Award every year, rather.
Not them, no. I mean, but it was pretty mad. You know what? For me, it's quite good to see, actually, seeing Di Brooks getting in the face, Johnny Williams not having any of it. You know, I quite like that fire going into a major tournament, you know. I think it could play in good stead for us. It's a young squad, though. You know, seeing someone like Di Brooks getting involved like that, maybe, you know, other players as well. I mean, Dan James has a couple of times lost his head for us, only minorly, though. Yeah. But, you know, maybe it could backfire for us. But I don't know. But personally, you know, just for the kind of preference I have while watching football, I quite like to see a bit of niggle, you know. Bit of niggle always does wonders for me. So, but yeah, it was pretty aggressive, I thought, for a friendly, no?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a bit like you. I quite like sort of old, not too much, like, you know, people going in 2-foot and that, like in the 80s and getting away with it. But it's a contact sport at the end of the day. You have to have a bit of aggression. It shows passion for the game. And when you're playing for the national team as well, it gets you fired up watching at home, doesn't it?
So, that's what you want to see, isn't it? You want to see people fighting for the shirt and everything. But I don't know. It was, you know, my heart was in my mouth a few times, to be honest with you, with some of the challenges they were throwing in on us. I mean, that Johnny Williams tackle, when, you know, there's a bit of a hoo-ha after that. Oof, he could have broken his bloody leg then. I mean, Johnny Williams, very lucky man. You know, you can imagine, can't you? Johnny Williams, who's worked so hard to get back into the Wales squad. You know, he's gone down to League One to get football, and he's gone through. You know, I have to watch the Sunderland documentary, so how great he was in that. You know, showing his vulnerabilities and things like that. Everything he's gone through, he's got back into the Wales team just in time for a major tournament, and then some bloody Albanian centre mid goes and snaps his leg. And what really bugged me watching that was the fact that, you know, he got a yellow, the Albanian, for doing that. Nico Williams got sent off in the France game for an accidental handball. It should, when you think about it like that, it's just broken, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, I think I saw you tweet that as well. I have to agree with you there. You know, it's good to see fans back in the Cardiff City Stadium as well. I don't think 6,500 actually went in, but you got to imagine 5+ in there. So
yeah, definitely.
It's always nice to see the boys off to the European Championship.
100%.
One player I did want to talk about though, it was the 96th cap for Wayne Hennessy.
Big
Where
number.
do you? That's really good. That's you know, how many players have got 100 caps for Wales?
One.
Exactly.
One. Yeah, well, I think Gareth Bale, if he plays, you know, when we obviously get into the Euro 2020 final, that'll be his 99th cap.
Yeah, I've seen that little stat knocking about. Where do you, in terms of Welsh international goalkeepers, where do you think Wayne Hennessy ranks amongst those? In
history, it's got to be up there. I mean, he is one. He and Danny Ward, because Danny Ward obviously played against Slovakia, but obviously Henno was our number one. He's one of about 3 goalkeepers to ever do that. So I think I will always personally remember Henno as one of the greats. You know, I mean, I think Wales isn't really, as a nation, hasn't been really blessed with goalkeepers in the past. We've had obviously Big Nev, which possibly the best ever. Apart from that, I mean, I'd struggle to remember any more goalkeepers. So for me, you know, when I think of a Wales goalkeeper, there's 2 men I think of. I think of Big Nev and I think of Wayne Henno.
Definitely. I think for us as well, being sort of mid-20s, Wayne Hennessy has been a mainstay in the team for as long as we can remember. Probably most of the time we've been watching football.
How old is he now?
International. 34, maybe younger.
Well, I mean, it is but a number, isn't it? It's but a number for a goalkeeper. I mean, how old's Buffon now? He's in his 40s, like quite comfortably, and he's still going. He's about to be 34.
I was right the second.
Look at that knowledge. Look at that. He doubted himself.
That was a pure guess, mate. I have to say.
He doubted himself. He looked it up. He didn't have to. Trust your gut, Mark.
Trust the gut. Should always. It's disappeared a bit now in my older age, but still trust it. It does rumble every once in a while.
You've given it to me. That's the thing.
Oh, I know. Not going to bring up the thing you told me about the shorts on record. So I did. I think we spoke about this before we jumped on as well. I heard, or more accurately saw, a couple of things knocking about on Twitter actually. I think we discussed it last week, there's always been a bit of an inter-club rivalry at the at the Wales internationals. We learned that they had to segregate fans at internationals at some point. So I think it's the only team in world football, or at least in Europe, ever to have to do that, which is crazy when you think about it. I think something to do with the Swansea flag being trashed. So, what's your take on all this inter-club rivalry stuff? I personally think it's something that should be left out of the international game, really. But, it's things like that do boil over when you've got such a tight-knit rivalry.
I suppose it's quite alien to me, to be honest, because being from North Wales, the whole Cardiff Swansea thing it feels a million miles away sometimes, But I've never been to a Swansea game, never been to a Cardiff game, so I can't really say whether, it's predictable or not. I can't think of a time when I've seen Wales fans scrapping between themselves. That's not saying it never happens. I'm sure it really does. But I was definitely disappointed by it, I mean, in North Wales, the biggest rivalry I can think of is either Wrexham Chester or Rhyl and Bangor. Now, I've been to a Rhyl and Bangor game, and that's nothing like pretty. That is, serious. I've never been to a Wrexham Chester game, unfortunately, but Rhyl Bangor I have. And, I've never seen a Rhyl and Bangor fan scrapping it out at a Wales international game when, in Euro 2016, when we were knocking around all over North Wales. It was absolutely fine. There was no semblance of an argument or anything. So it's just a massive shame, and it's come at a bad time as well, isn't it? From what again, I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but things again I saw knocking around on Twitter was it was actually a Palestine flag with Swansea stuff written on it, which is even worse. Just going even a step further. But it wasn't all bad news from the game. It wasn't all doom and gloom in that sense, because we didn't boo them taking a knee, which is something to be proud of, isn't it, I suppose? Because, I mean, the state of some people, honestly, I mean, if you don't agree with it, fair enough, but, they're there for your entertainment at the end of the day. So if you boo them for standing for something they believe in, well, no place for you as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely, I agree with that, but also in a way, these sort of people, by taking that action, they're almost outing themselves on what they believe. So is that good in a way, that you sort of realising who may be the people who are causing these issues, why the players are having to take the kney and take such a big stand against racism? Because it's just crazy that it's 2021 and we're still discussing kicking racism out of football, because
it's typical. The whole thing is typical, tabloid strategy, isn't it? You take something and you look for one tiny corner of it and you amplify it and amplify it and amplify it, to the point where it's something, where it's repeated so often it's impossible to separate it from. And that's the whole Black Lives Matter thing. Now, what was the name of the American, the guy from the NFL, the quarterback, Colin
Kaepernick, the 49ers quarterback.
Well, now he outdates Black Lives Matter, doesn't he?
I think it's been going around in America for quite a while, because the police brutality issues haven't been as in the forefront as much in the media in the UK as they are in the US, and it's a much bigger country as well. So I guess there probably are more occurrences per person. But, I think Black Lives Matter as an organisation has been knocking around for quite a while. But at the end of the day, Colin Kaepernick, a professional athlete, lost his job for standing up for something he believed in, not to the literal sense, taking a knee, but I just,
at the end of the day,
understand for the life of me why the owners from the 49ers decided to terminate his contract. It's just such a, you're ruining a man's career based on him taking a stand for what he believes in. And it's not like he's gone out and done anything like, think of what people like O.J. Simpson have done, supposedly.
I don't know. I mean, and people just want to get a life at the end of the day. It's like fucking 2 seconds, isn't it? I mean, just get a grip. I mean, like you said, it's probably a good honeypot to sort of, oust the shit for brains people that we have amongst our ranks. I don't know, but I don't want to go too political or anything on it or whatever. But at the end of the day, I was very happy, because I was a bit nervous about it, when I seen what happened with England and all this. I was quite happy that there were no boos to be heard on the telly. So well done to the 5,500 or 6,500 or whatever it was. Although there's been a scrap with some Cardiff and Swansea fans, at least they didn't boo.
I did have a quick flick through the Communist Manifesto just to see if Karl Marx had told everyone, the first thing is you must take a knee, but couldn't spot anything like that. You said maybe take a knee on your factory supervisor's neck while you're seizing the means of production, but that's not really to do with football, is it?
It's a Marxist thing. It's a Marxism. It's against our way of life.
I don't think they know what Marxism means, to be honest.
Of course they fucking don't. It's very difficult. Marxism is massive, whatever.
Speaking of neutrality, I think that's a good segue into the Swiss game.
Good one. Good
Was
one.
it Austria? No, it was Switzerland, wasn't it?
It was
I'm just
Switzerland,
I'm looking at an Austrian bottle of Heineken right now.
Yeah.
I thought I'd crack this out because the Austria game at home in 2017. That was my first full Wales international, and where's Ben Woodburn? So I thought I'd get this out for a bit.
Toast to you. Here's to you, Ben. Yeah.
Super Ben.
Super Benny Woodburn.
He was 17 when he bloody put that goal in. That's crazy.
Oh God, it upsets me as as a Liverpool fan again. It really upsets me.
What are you doing, Klopp?
Well, there's a few really bad loan moves from him, wasn't it? What I blame Chris Wilder for Ben Woodburn, to be honest, because he was in great form. I remember having gone to the first Wrexham game of the season while the pre-season was still kicking around for Premier League teams, and we were in the Crafty Dragon in Wrexham after the game, grabbing a pint, and he scored against Atletico Madrid. I think it was Atletico Madrid. He scored a screamer. Then beginning of the season, he's loaned out to Sheffield United. Sheffield United just happened to be having an incredible season. It turned out to be a season that got him promoted, and he just couldn't get into the team.
Him, didn't he?
Couldn't get into the team because it was through no fault of his own. According to Chris Wilder, he said, "How can I possibly take anybody out of this team currently when they're doing so well?" So it was unlucky. And then he went to Oxford, nothing. He went to Blackpool this season to work with Neil Critchley as the former Liverpool under-23s manager, so he knew him quite well. So that was, I really thought, oh, great, finally he's gonna have someone who'll get behind him and everything. No, couldn't get into the team again. Back at Liverpool now. See what happens to him, but I can't see him. He needs to move. He needs to get out of Liverpool. He needs to find somewhere he can settle down and get some proper first team action and stuff. And you just hope it's not as far down as League One, to be honest. I think he's much better than that. Maybe he's not. Maybe we're wrong because obviously he's not getting into League One teams. But we've all seen it. Everybody who is a Wales fan has seen what Ben Woodburn can do, and they know deep down that he is. He has all the potential to be a star player. So it's sad. Ben Woodburn is one of these stories. It'll be like one of those the one that got away or the one that never happened. If it doesn't happen, I hope to God it does. But it could become one of them. Whatever happened to Ben Woodburn's story, I really hope it don't.
Oh, no, same here, mate. But, he's still really young. Got time to, if you've got that raw talent as well in life for goal, we can play in a few different positions as well. So, he'd be a useful player for any professional team.
It breaks my heart, though. Yeah. It breaks my heart with Liverpool because the same problem with Harry Wilson. Harry Wilson could definitely do a job at Liverpool. Look at the front three this season. Liverpool, they're doing awful. Mane's only scored like 8 goals come the end of the season in the league. And we got Jota. We brought in to do a job, and he did, but he's been injured and everything. It's just been. If Harry Wilson wasn't on loan at Cardiff, he did great for Cardiff. Scored some screamers and everything. He could have done a job at Liverpool, but no. And I just don't understand it because it seems like in Liverpool at the moment. I'm a huge Klopp fan, but if you're not a Scouser, then you're not going to make it out the academy, which is a shame, really, because Harry Wilson has been at Liverpool since he was a bad man. He's been there forever, and it looks like he's going to have to move away this summer. I just think I really think he could do a job. He's a set piece taker. He scores screamers and everything like that. So it just breaks my heart seeing Ben Woodburn and Harry Wilson fall by the wayside. I really thought that in the future we were going to have in Liverpool like a good Welsh core, and it's just not happened, and it's just not fair.
I don't know what Klopp has against all the Welsh boys, to be honest with you, but when you're at a big team like that and you're a younger player, it's always going to be hard to break into the first team when you have got that many stars in the side, and you're up until this season maybe. I mean, Salah's been, he scored as many goals as you'd probably expect him to. He's not had a bad season at all.
No.
Mane's been really off the boil. Jota's done well when called upon, but like you said, he's been injured. Firmino, I think he's been a bit hit and miss, but he looked really good to the end of the season, towards the end of the season. I think he was chipping in with goals and assists quite a lot more. So you got to think Wilson definitely could have broken into that side. Look at players like Curtis Jones who are coming through. I know they've had their problems in defence, so I don't know if Klopp was thinking he could maybe account for that by playing his sort of full strength attacking half of the team as much as he could to, account for the gaps in defence with Phillips and whoever else you had paired with him. Was it? Oh, what's that Turkish guy called? Kabak.
Kabak, yeah. Well, we'll be seeing a bit more of Kabak come Wednesday.
Should we talk about Saturday first though, since that's
let's have it, yeah.
When this goes out, it'll be tomorrow, won't it? Because this will go out Friday. So as I'm sure everyone's aware by now, Wales' first game in Group A gets underway on Saturday. We've just mentioned it's a 2:00 kickoff, and we're playing Switzerland, as we brought up about 5 minutes ago. It's probably about this time we'd be in Baku as well if we'd followed through with the 37-hour flight itinerary. I think it was 36 and being a bit over the top. Though.
We don't talk about that, Martin. We don't talk about it.
There's a few questions coming into this one from the Albania game. Maybe the France game last week was a bit better of an idea how we might line up. The Swiss are in good form coming into this one. 7 games without defeat. I think they drew the Spanish late in 2020, and then they've won 6 on the bounce following that. So that's not bad form.
Oh God.
Shall we have a little bit of fun and talk about predicted lineups and that? I've got since Lewis isn't here, and I got him to send us a lineup. Should we do his first, so we can tear the shit out of it? And then
I love it. Yeah,
he's not here to defend himself.
Well, if he was here, he'd have his lines written already, wouldn't he?
I had to write them down, to be honest with you, because I don't want about 6 windows up while I've got Zoom running. He's gone for a 4-3-3. Smart lad, I have to say. Danny Ward in goal. It's Roberts, Metham, Rodon and Davis across the back 4. Alan, Ramsey and Wilson in the midfield 3. I think Wilson's probably in a 10 role, sort of behind the striker. Then James Moore and Bale across the forward line. Do you want to give us yours, or do you want to attack Lewis's first?
Let's go for
Lewis.
I
don't think it's too dissimilar from our two, probably.
Not particularly. What he's done is he's chucked Wilson there in the midfield 3, isn't he? Which is an interesting call, to be honest. We haven't seen a lot of it, have we? The problem with Wilson really is that he does go missing every now and then. But I don't have any problem with players going missing as long as they pop up and score a screamer as he is known to do. So I don't have a huge problem with it. But it's true, especially we've only seen him really in that midfield 3 a couple of times from what I can recall. I think possibly in the game against Republic of Ireland when he scored a free kick. I think possibly he started in midfield there. I think Harry Wilson really, if he wants to nail his name down as a starter for Wales, I think he actually has to be targeting that midfield 3, because I don't see him getting in over Bale or Dan James anytime soon. And I think as time goes on, I think Page will eventually succumb to either there's 2 ways he could fall to it. So he could fall to logic, or he could fall to public pressure with Kiefer Moore coming in as a number 9. But I think Harry Wilson, if he wants to, I think a 10 role could suit him, especially with Rambo getting on a little bit. Maybe it would suit Rambo to drop a bit deeper. But we'll see what happens. But I mean, it's an interesting lineup. He's gone for the 4-3-3 over the 5 at the back, which is quite attacking. To be honest with you, it's quite positive, especially having as many attacking players on the field as he has. I mean, when you think about Rambo being such an attacking midfielder and Wilson in that midfield 3, it's like playing with 5 forwards, that really, isn't it? With just sort of Alan holding. So if he does it, then that's as basically as far balls to the wall as Wales can go. I mean, maybe you could check on Dai Brooks and just have no midfield, but. Who did he go for a centre-back partner again?
He went for, so I'm looking at my lineup there, he went Metham and Rodon together.
So he's dropped Ampadu?
He's dropped Ampadu, and there's no Nico Williams either.
No Nico Williams?
Kiefer Moore's come in for, so Ben Davis at left back and Con Rob, Welsh Cafu at right back.
Welsh Cafu.
I don't think anyone calls him Con Rob. Lewis calling Aaron Ramsey,
Aaron. As a
he did go to uni in Cardiff though, so maybe he met his mum on a night out or something. I don't know.
He's from Cardiff, isn't he?
Is he? I thought he played for Cardiff. I don't.
He did play for Cardiff.
Mate. He joined Arsenal when I was a child, and I've
not
slightly obsessed over him ever since.
It's not far out, Cardiff. I've never been to Cardiff. When I was living in Cardiff, I really wanted to go and visit the castle, but I never went. Cardiff is the only
went into it years ago, but it was quite expensive from what I remember.
It's the only place that's poorer than Rhyl in Wales.
Actually,
yeah, Cardiff took our badge of honour. That
bastards. If anyone in Cardiff listening, you've just upset about 26,000 people in the Costa del Scouse. So watch yourselves. Costa del Scouse.
But yeah, no, it's a good lineup from Lewis. I like it. Do I think it's accurate? No, I don't see Connor Roberts starting over Nico Williams. Although I think that it's so frustrating for us to have something, two players of such quality competing for one role. There, I would love to see Nico Williams maybe in the future going further up the field. We did it with Bale; it worked well. I think Nico Williams, watching him play for Liverpool again, is defending is not his strong suit, but in the international stage, I've not seen him put a foot wrong really defensively. So it's hard to say. But Connor Roberts is too good a talent to be warming the bench. Everything he gives, 100% all the time. He's a machine. He's a carpenter, apparently. I didn't know. I learned this the other day. Apparently, his spare time he's carpentry. But I think it's a good shout. I think Nico will start on Saturday, and possibly I could see Connor Roberts starting on Wednesday. Because I think the Turkish game we're going to go a bit more full throttle. Mm-hmm. Though we will against the Swiss, I think we're going to start quite apprehensively. Not apprehensively, but a bit more maybe. What's the word? What's the fancy football word that people use? A bit more
conservative.
Not conservative, but yeah, let's go conservative. Yeah, a bit
restricted
more
at the back, like a bit tighter.
Like I don't know what the word's gone.
But less expansive. I don't know. I'm just throwing words at you.
I can't think of it. It's a bloody Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher word. So let's pretend it.
Oh.
I think we'll start a bit more conservatively against the Turks at the back. I think we'll go full throttle at the front. But I think on Saturday, I think we're going to see us in a typical way we have been in the Nations League. I think starting very sort of calmly and everything, growing into the game, and then really pushing in the last 20 minutes. That's how I see the Switzerland game going. And for that reason, from my point of view, I think we'll probably, I don't know, doing this predicted 11, I've done it on my heart, not my head, but in my head says a back five, but my heart says a front back four, and go for the 4-3-3. But I don't know, what do you think?
I'm thinking 4-3-3 as well. I'll rattle you mine off because it's basically the same as Lewis's. There's a few differences. Ward in goal for me. Ooh. I do. Hennessy's played so well for us for so long, and he just always seems to show up. And neither of them have had really any club football this year, so it is sort of who's played in the best form over the last few games for me. And look how Danny Ward played against the French. He was my back four. It's Connor Roberts, Joe Rodon. I'm swapping Ben Davis into centre back, and then I'll have it was Nico Williams as my left back. I thought he did quite well as a left back. He started there in was it the France game or?
Yes.
He moved a bit more inside to Mark Pogba, I think.
I think you're right. He was following him all over the pitch, wasn't he? But that's interesting, putting Ben Davies in the centre back role. No one's really talked about that, which is surprising because
he's played in the back three quite a lot. I think he did a Euro 2016 because he had Neil Taylor outside of him.
And look what we got in Slovakia because of that. We got that beautiful block. So
that's the thing, he's not the tallest. I don't think he's that bad in the air though. Most footballers should probably be able to jump quite high. It's not me. You've seen how I can't really jump. If he's partnered there with Joe Rodon, I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's a big bugger. And he's been playing in the Premier League for 6 months, so he's a tough lad anyway, I'm sure. But
Welsh Mafia in the back four.
He's probably there with away day Ollie McBurney, but off camera hopefully. My midfield anyway, I've done it slightly differently. I'm putting Ampadu in, even though he's probably not in the best of form at the minute, but that's mainly to add sort of an extra defensive player who can slot into a centre back. I think my system's more of a 5 at the back when we are defending, and then 4 at the back going forwards. And if Ampadu wants to sit a bit more as well, because he can play the sort of more deep line playmaker role, maybe not sort of zinking 50 odd through balls into bloody Moorbale and James, but you know, he can sort of sit there and spray it about and sort of boss the back of the field a bit. That'll give Williams and Roberts a bit more room to push forward and cross the ball in. So I've got those 3, and then James Moorbale up top, just like Lewis did, with those 2 fullbacks pushing forward as well. You've got Kiefer Moore in the middle, Dan James and Gareth Bale running off the shoulders of the defenders. You've got enough sort of like technically creative players in the middle there, good ranges of passing to sort of cause a Swiss a bit of trouble. I think they'll sit back. They usually, from the research I've done, I think they play a 3-4-2-1. So that's 3 at the back, 2 wing backs with 2 sitting mids, 2 sort of freer attacking mids, and then a striker. So that'll be quite sort of compact in the middle, quite tight at the back. If we can sort of use the wide areas, stretch them about a bit, that'll give spaces in the middle for the attacking players to work their magic. So I think 1 goal might settle it though. So like you said, I want to play with 4 at the back, because I think, in my opinion, we play more attractive football with 4 at the back, but it might make us a bit more susceptible to conceding. But in a tournament where you don't want to start the group off with a loss, do you? I think we just need to have a go at it. And, there's players on the bench we can use if we have to, but that's what I'm going for anyway. What are you?
I think it's a really interesting point. I think we're all in agreement, me, you and Lewis, about Kiefer Moore starting up top. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody in Wales that doesn't want to see Kiefer Moore starting, We saw Harry Wilson playing as a false 9 against Belgium. Worked great, to be honest. Who started up top for us against France? Was it Harry Wilson again?
I think so,
yeah. Yeah, again, not bad at all.
To be honest with you.
And then we saw Rambo starting a false 9 against Albania. Now that pretty much tells me he wants to play a false 9, which I think you'll have 3 million people screaming at their phones and the telly when they see the lineup coming up if we're playing with the false 9. We all want to see Kiefer Moore starting. He's done nothing wrong. It's the same, continuing what we talked about last week. He's done nothing wrong to lose his place in the team. He gets booked. That's the only thing I can think of he does wrong. He's susceptible to a booking for a bit of rough and tumble. But I mean, we all want to see it. I think we're so much more dangerous from the get-go with Kiefer Moore on the pitch. With that false 9 system, we're lethal on the break, which is something we've not really seen with Wales, to be honest. In the past few years, we've always been the kind of team that wins from constant pressure. If we win, we tend to, it tends to be a bit of a scrap for 70 minutes, and then the last 20 minutes, we're pretty on them and we nick a goal. But against Belgium, which is a great example, that absolutely gorgeous goal that Harry Wilson scored, we looked quite lethal on the break with a false 9. Didn't come off against Albania, unfortunately. We didn't get a chance really to utilise it fully against France because they're sending off. But I don't want to see it. I'm half sort of begrudgingly accepting it's going to happen, because I at this point would be surprised if he started Kiefer Moore. But I want to see it. At the end of the day, I think we are so much more dangerous. I think we can score a bit more freely. I think he's so underrated with his feet. I mean, the classic big, got good feet for the big man. Kiefer Moore, has everybody forgotten the goal against Mexico? That little dink, great finish. He's got good feet. He plays it down very well. His hold up play is very good. I think our most lethal weapon that we didn't have in 2016 this year is probably Dan James. Yeah. I don't think there's anybody again in Wales doubting Dan James's place in the starting 11. I think he is the weapon we didn't have last year that I think a lot of teams might overlook. Why? Because at the end of the day, Twitter rules all. Twitter is king, and on Twitter he's not very liked, is he, by United fans or anything. I think he'll be overlooked. I think he won't be marked as heavily as he should be coming into this tournament, and I think I would love to see Kiefer Moore up top, holding it up, playing off to Dan James. Dan James getting in behind, leaving everybody in his dust and burying it, you know? So, yeah, I'm with you. Kiefer Moore for number 9 for me.
Definitely, mate. Going back to what you were just saying about Dan James as well. It's funny you brought him up because I was chatting to Jack on the phone earlier, and we for some reason got into talking about Dan James and topic of discussion. You know, he plays well for United, but I don't think the system really suits him as well as it does playing for Wales. You know, you can't really play a winger out of position, can you? Like play him as a bloody striker, but I think with the other players in the United team, he doesn't really stand out that often, but he does chip in with goals and assists now and again. But we're both saying he always seems to play so much better for Wales and be a bigger part of the side. And I just think our style of play, a lot of the players we got coming through now, like you look at Morel, can't get a game for his club, but when he steps in a Wales shirt, he looks really good on the ball. You couldn't tell he's playing in, you know, he's on loan at a League One club or something like that, could you? He just looks like he's full international.
I think Dan James is a confidence player, big time. I mean, oh God, who is it he scored for us against in the Nations League? I think it was...
Was it Finn?
No, it wasn't Finland.
Czechoslovakia.
It'll be Czechoslovakia. He
scored a header, didn't he?
Yes, that he got up there big, high on it because he's only a little lad. And you saw what it meant to him because he'd been in a bad run of form. He had everyone on his back against playing for United and everything. So I think he's massively a confidence player. And I think United is not, you know, especially in the sort of the era that they are, it's not the place to inspire confidence amongst its players. They're very quick to turn the fans and everything on their players. Sorry. So when he comes into Wales and everybody's behind him and everybody rates him and everybody wants best for him, they're not waiting for him to fail so they can have a rant on Twitter about it. I think it does him well. And like I said before, I think he's got his place in the starting 11 nailed on. And I think he's going to be massive for us.
Definitely. I think he could definitely be one of the players to make a difference for us on Saturday. Do you want to do a score prediction? I don't know if you've got one. I pressed Lewis for one, and he's been his usual Chris Sutton-esque self, and he's gone for a 1-1 draw.
Slippery. He's a slippery bugger when he wants to be Lewis. When you want something out of him, you want a bit of information. When it go out, a prediction at least, he'll. What do you think? He's one of them. I don't know. What do you think? Tell me what you
just
think.
Show you later in the form of a 50p threefold accumulator.
I'm going to go for 1-0 Wales.
That's it's funny you say that. That's what I was going for.
1-0 Wales.
You know, I think it's the type of team Switzerland are. I definitely think it's going to be one goal that separates it. They have got Shaqiri and a few of the players going forwards, but I think, you know, in terms of attacking talent, we've definitely got the advantage there. So I'm going to go a step further, actually. We've been talking about Dan James quite a lot, but I think he might be the one who makes a difference. I'm going to go for 1-0, Dan James to get the goal. Couldn't tell you when he's going to come, but just how you were describing it, if we do start with Kiefer Moore up top, like I think we should, and most people I've spoken to or even seen, you know, say about on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, they also agree with that. You know, I think he's, especially when you're playing sort of quite a resolute team defensively, you have to have someone, a big presence up there to sort of knock it down, bring the other players into the game as well. If they do surprise us and they do pin us back and sort of put the pressure on, it's always good to have that focal point up top. Like you were saying, he's a big target man. He can hold the ball up. He's good at bringing it down to his feet. That can win fouls and move us up the pitch and relieve the pressure on the side, give the defenders a bit of a rest. We've got great set piece takers in the side as well. So think how many fouls was it? Johnny Williams, one of the most fouled players in Euro 2016.
I think he
really helped move the. I knew we were playing a different type of football back then. It was 5 at the back, Bale in attack, but really helped with the territory. Thinking a bit more in a rugby sense, moving the side up the field from penalties. But you know what I mean? Like,
mate, I'm giving myself goosebumps thinking about it. But can you imagine if we go one ahead with the Gareth Bale free kick? It gives me goosebumps even thinking about it. You know, I remember the Slovakia game I watched by myself in the library pub in Leeds, in the back room on a little telly without the volume on. And I remember, you know, we went one ahead of that Gareth Bale free kick. You know, when time stops, and you're just like, well, that was unexpected. You're inside like, wow. And then you realise on your outside, your arms are flailing, your beer's gone everywhere. It was one of them. I was on my own, completely on my own. And just thinking about that happening again, that would be the perfect beginning to Euro 2020. So if you didn't say it, I would have said Dan James to score, like 1-0 Dan James goal. But because you said it, and we need to keep the conversation going, I'm going to say 1-0, and I'm going to go with a Aaron Ramsey goal.
I like thinking there.
He still hasn't really had his grand return, and I'm thinking a la Hungary game, when he comes back and he scores those 2 goals, he gets so high in the air, that header that everyone's singing Kiefer more, not realizing it is bloody Rambo that's got it. So I'm going to go 1-0 a Ramsey goal. I'm going to say Ramsey's going to be massively influential in that first game. I've obviously got him in my starting 11 as well. I think anybody who, well, it's weird because we've not had to think about Ramsey in that midfield for such a long time, because he's been out and everything, and now he comes back. It's posed problems, and I mean that's everybody sort of in the past few games has been like, we found a system that works for us in the Nations League. We finish the Nations League, get some friendlies on the go. And suddenly, weeks before the tournament, we're trying to change it up and everything. Why are we doing this? We found our way and everything. Well, it's because Ramsey's back, and you can't leave him out. He's too good to leave out, and it gives a headache. It's a headache you want, but I would. It's changed everything. I do think Ramsey is he's just a magician. I think he's unbelievable, and I can see him really opening up the Switzerland game. I can see him being the difference in the midfield. I think our midfield is great for holding the ball and blocking runs and blocking paths and everything. But with him in it, it looks more creative than it ever has, just him coming back in the France game with those, in the few minutes that he had, playing that false 9 against Albania, I thought he went missing, to be honest. That's why I really hope if we do play with a false 9, we play with Harry Wilson as that false 9. But yeah, I mean, if Aaron Ramsey's on the pitch, I feel immediately like 20% more confident. So I'm going to go 1-0 Wales, Aaron Ramsey, header.
Definitely, yeah. Well, he's that sort of player that can run into the box, make those late runs, get the finishes, and did that time and time again for Arsenal. That's why I'm such a big fan of him, watching him over the years. I've said to you thousands of times, I was absolutely heartbroken when he left. I mean, when you've got a player like, don't bring that up. I really don't like talking or thinking about Arsenal this past year, to be honest with you, mate. I'm trying to. It's like that 1X you can't shake from the back of your mind, and you're trying to push it out, but it's just lingering in the orbital lobes. But when you've got a player like Ramsey in your side and you're at a major tournament, you just can't not really start him, can you? He can offer you that threat going forwards. He's such a technical player in the middle as well. He's got an engine on him. He can run. If he's fit, if he's match fit, he can run all day. Defensively, he's solid as well. He can, don't want him to pick up too many yellow cards in the early games. We're going to have him again suspended. Yeah, that's maybe why not starting Kiefer Moore might be at the back of Page's mind to the Switzerland game. You don't want him getting booked in the first 2 games and have no one to relieve the pressure against the Italians, because I think that might be when our
Kiefer Moore's going to play. I don't think there's any need to worry about that. He'll have a part to play, just whether or not he starts. I would love to see him start. Like I said, when we get to my starting 11, I've gone for what I would like to see rather than what I expect to see. But I'd be surprised if he starts. I want him to start though.
I've also gone for what I hope to see and not expect to see. And just to wind some of the Burks from TalkSport up, I've also picked their favourite Welshman to score, because he plays for Wales. He's Welsh. Just suck on that. I don't know if it's Alan Brazil that had a Twitter feud with me, or I think it was the 5 o'clock show that was tweeting me for ages. So it'll be the drive time show. I think there's 2 blokes on it. Can't remember who, but if a lad from Rose College is peeing you off that much about Michael Owen, come on, grow up.
Top shithousery, Martin. Rent free in Alan Brazil. They probably got your face on a darts board in the TalkSport office, to be honest. I love it. I love the fact that he was harassing you afterwards as well. I love the fact that you have got a Twitter feud with what is supposedly a respected sports journalist. I love it. Brilliant. I love it.
being an unrespected sports shit talker myself, that's quite a claim to fame, I guess.
Aye. What do you reckon about Simon Jordan on TalkSport today?
Oh my god, that was hilarious. The thing with Jim White, because it was their weird show together. They got a bit heated about. I sort of understand it, you know. I mean, do you want England to do well? Are you really that bothered? I mean, I don't really care how they do, to be honest with you. I'm not probably going to tune into the England-Czechoslovakia game. I'll probably watch the other two because they'll probably get battered by Croatia, and the Scotland game will be quite feisty. But I don't watch England. I mean, if they've got a friendly or a qualifier, I might catch the highlights on ITV.
I can't remember the last. Yeah,
I don't care.
I can't remember the last time I watched an England game. Can you? I genuinely can't remember. No,
I have no interest in watching England. If Wales go at the tournament, they're not going to be a team I start like cheering for.
Yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? I mean, it's interesting, but at the end of the day, what I think a lot of English people fail to recognise is the disparity in sort of status and control of it all. You know, so when a Welsh person celebrates England going out, or let's tone it down, when a Welsh person doesn't care that England are going out, it's different to an English journalist not caring if Wales go out and everything. Why? Because journalism isn't devolved. Broadcasting isn't devolved in Wales. So at the end of the day, they have I wish it was. I wish Simon Jordan didn't have the responsibility, but he does at the end of the day. Well, not Simon Jordan specifically, but the BBC. I mean, to be honest, the coverage that the BBC has given for the Welsh national squad going into this tournament is pathetic, absolutely pathetic. I was listening to the what do you call it, the Daily Sport.
Daily Euros.
Daily Euros is what they changed to it. I listened to Daily Euros, and literally like a couple sentences here and there. Literally, they said, "I think if Wales lose against Switzerland, it's over for them, and I think they will." And that was it. It was pathetic, unbelievable. And then a couple of days inside the England camp, and the day after inside the Scotland camp.
Inside the Scotland, but where's the Wales one?
It's only just come out today, like 3 days later, and everything. It's pathetic. It's ridiculous. I understand it's Scotland's first time in a tournament for a long time, but I don't remember us getting so much bloody coverage when we were in 2016 and everything like this. So at the end of the day, they have a responsibility for us. We wish they didn't have that responsibility. We wish they didn't. Devolve broadcasting, please. But at the end of the day, until they do, they have a responsibility to provide Welsh listeners with content. We pay our TV license and everything the same as English people. We deserve content. We deserve representation, everything. If you don't want to give it to us, give us devolution. Give me devolution, give me death.
It's a rally cry I've ever heard on. I think for me as well, the lack of devolved broadcasting, or there are some Welsh sport media outlets, like I think Die Sport are one of the ones I think are quite good. The National as well, that new paper do quite a lot of good coverage. They've focused a lot on the amateur boxers going into the Olympics, which I've quite liked.
It's very new, isn't it, the National? It's very promising. Yeah. Nation.Cymru, but all these things, that's all independent.
But that's the other thing.
We're still paying £12 a month out of our bloody TV license. Well, not me. I live in Spain.
You look at like the fanzine culture in Wales, though. I think that's probably got a good chunk to do with it. Why there are a lot of independent publications, fan-made things, even podcasts and radio shows and things like this.
There's some great ones. Do you want to give any shout-outs?
Fearless in Devotion are brilliant. I got there last episode. They're a Wrexham fanzine.
Another
Alternative Wales are really good as well. That podcast is fucking hilarious as well, I have to say.
My favourite Wrexham fanzine is Shag fanzine.
Shag.
I'm a massive fan of Shag. I've got all the copies. I made a deal with the writer about last year, I think it was now, that I'll pay in like 30 quid. You give me, if you can find for me a backlog of the copies and just give me the next 5 and everything, because living in Spain, it's just a nightmare, isn't it? So I'll give a shout out to Shag fanzine for Wrexham socialist culture. Get in.
I quite like the Common Lad the Dream fanzine. I can't remember the bloody name of it they've done, but it's like an online one as well. So it's free. Game of Lad, I think it is.
Game of Lad?
I think so.
The country's game.
I think that's the one. I think they've done 2 issues of the online one. It was quite a good read. They've got a preview of 2, or I think it's all 3 group games actually, tournament preview, isn't it? So that's another one you should check out. Their podcast's brilliant as well, Dying Ruth, I have to say.
There's a distinct lack of a Welsh language Wales national team fanzine, possibly, Felly, os oes na unrhyw diddordeb mewn wneud rhywbeth o'na, gadw i gwybod.
Get right in it then, son. I'm still getting the needy Duolingo album, like shouting at me every other day. Hey, babe, you up?
Yeah, what is it? Dewi Lingo, isn't it? Dewi
Lingo.
Lingo.
He's a right needy bugger, and he gets proper soppy if you ignore him for a few weeks as well. Send you notifications. Don't give him your number because I don't know if you text me. Send you bloody emails as well. These notifications aren't working, so I'm going to stop. It's like when an ex texts you saying something like, "Oh, you're not responding to my calls, so I'm going to stop talking to you now." And then another one, okay, this is the last time I'm going to message you. Bye.
Yeah, that in it. Bye then, full stop.
And then they accidentally send like a GIF, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I was meant to say that, send that to my friend, but yeah, bye."
Like a laughing GIF or something. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of, I don't know, is there any way we can relate laughing to Turkey? I've been laughing at a few of the Turkish fans on Twitter, I have to say, recently.
I saw something recently.
Getting a bit Billy Big Bollocks.
I saw British Buffalo is something I saw there. Keep laughing, British Buffalo, he called someone. I was like, sorry, British, you want to say?
Oh, man. They're a charming bunch.
They're giving it beans, aren't they? Fair play to them. They're giving it beans.
They've got a decent squad, I have to say, but it's quite funny to see a side that probably has more international banning orders and riots in stadiums than, progression in it. I know we can't really say because it's like our fourth or probably our third or fourth tournament we qualified for. But, I don't get why they're giving it the big ones so much, but they're quite a passionate footballing nation, aren't they? Look at Galatasaray and Fenerbahce games. That's Bekashir.
I think that whenever I've spoken to anybody about the Wales fixtures in the group stages, everybody's always seemed to throw a lot of respect Turkey's way. I just hope we don't do that on the pitch. To be honest with you, I think we seem to be a bit wary of Switzerland. Italy, we're sort of a bit resigned to the fact that if we get a result, it'd be wicked. If we don't, it shouldn't be the end of the world. It's all about the Turkey and the Switzerland game. But I seem to see a lot of people proper backing Turkey against us. Fuck that, no. No, I don't want to see him giving any respect to them. I want to see us at Turkey's throat from minute one. I can see us being more pragmatic. That was the word I was after before, Martin. Pragmatic. I can see us being more pragmatic against Switzerland. But
what would have been quite pragmatic if you'd have jotted that thought down like Lewis does before then.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have this problem if my name was Lewis Papp. But there you go. But yeah, I want to see us going full force at Turkey. I think Turkey could be our biggest shot. I think Turkey are going to definitely come in against us a bit. Billy Big Bollocks, like you said, I can see him proper fancying it. And I really hope I can see them making a pig's ear out of it as well. I can see us getting on top of them. I think Turkey is the kind of team that at this stage in our development under this squad, under Rob Page, is the kind of thing where it's doable, very, very doable. Switzerland for me is still a bit unknown because they have the star quality of Xhaka, of Shaqiri, of Mbolo, Rodriguez and everything else. But Turkey, I mean, you look at a squad, yes, it's quite free scoring, it's quite attacking and everything. Well, we can stop these attacking sides. I really think we can. I think we've got to go for it. I think Turkey, a lot of people are saying if we lose against Switzerland, if we don't get a win against Switzerland, it's game over from No. I reckon we'll have Turkey. I reckon Italy will have Turkey. And I can see it. I don't know about Switzerland, Turkey, I haven't got a clue, but I can see it. Even if we draw against Switzerland, I can see us getting a result against Turkey.
I agree with you there. I think
at the end of the day, we've got track records. We can beat Italy. We've done it before. I know Italy are undefeated in like 20 or something ridiculous, but at the end of the day, if Craig Bellamy can do it, Dan James can do it, innit? If Simon Davis can do it, Gareth Bale bloody well can. So
similar haircut, maybe.
Yeah, more or less.
I don't think Simon Davis ever man-bun it, but that wasn't around in the early 2000s, was it?
Simon Davis hair is more like Gareth Bale circa 2015, innit? Qualifying campaign.
Yeah. I have to say, I completely skipped over my Swiss bit of trivia, so I'm just going to run back quickly and ask you. It's a manager question. It's going to be easier than you think. Can you name the manager who was in charge of Switzerland at the night? Well, when they qualified for and at the 1994 World Cup in America?
Switzerland manager in 1994.
I'm trying to think of a clue that won't completely give it away for you, but
That is a deep cut, that man. I'm not being funny.
He managed in the Premier League this season, actually.
This season?
For the full season, he was not fired during the season or anything like that.
Is he still knocking around?
No, actually, he is currently jobless. He finished at the end of the season.
Roy Hodgson?
He's managed other international sides before. He's managed a team that one of us support. And he's got a
It's Roy.
It's Roy Hodgson.
It's Roy.
The owl himself.
The melting candlestick. Oh, big old boy. He's managed a surprising amount of national teams, and each one he managed, he did better than he did at England. Because he managed Finland as well. He's like fluent in Finnish, and Finnish is meant to be like the hardest
difficult language.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Madness.
That's the only bit of football trivia I've got for you today, because the Turkey related one is non-football related. It's more geography.
What's your favorite British or English or Welsh or whatever manager working in a different country or national team? I think mine has to be David Moyes at Real Sociedad. I've seen them training 2, 3, 4 times. That's my favorite thing ever. My favorite, that or Steve McLaren with the Dutch team, with that Dutch interview. Do you remember that?
Was it? Oh, he was it. Wasn't Feyenoord.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't. Was it? Was it Ajax?
He won the club to FC20. That was it.
Was that it?
I think so. It was one of the. It wasn't Ajax, but it was one of the like more established. So I think my favorite one has to be. Do you remember? I think it was Granada. Tony Adams with his bloody warmer.
that is the best. That I can so imagine. I know people like that.
Right, I saw you didn't come on the spot, trying to slap him in the face.
You can literally just imagine as well. You can imagine what he's saying. It's like ball forward, ball back.
Grunting commands.
Oh
breath
God!
I didn't know that was a cigarettes and a whiskey hungover. I think it was Granada, or was it Tenerife, or one of the? I think it was one of the nice bits of Spain he got to manage, and he didn't do very well.
Yeah, no, nobody does.
Phil Neville, was it Gary Neville or Phil Neville? Gary Neville.
Valencia. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. Chris Coleman managed Real Sociedad. I don't know what Real Sociedad have got going for them to get all these like random British managers in. But for me, nothing will ever beat David Moyes going. I've seen him train 2, 3, 4 times. Honestly, you got to respect the effort, haven't you? But honestly,
it's not manager. He is a manager now, but a notable mention to jailbait Joey Barton, who with his French accent.
That counts, doesn't it?
I do. I quite like living here because I like the French girls and they like my little scarce beard.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
And I make dog nuts and I punch babies.
That interview is one of those things where you literally just can't get your head around how it happened. You know what I mean? There's several things like this that happen in the world when you're just like, how did no one stop this? How did he not try? Everybody's done this, haven't they? When they go to another country and everything, they try and speak in the accent for a minute or try and use the lingo and everything, and it just doesn't work. So you just drop it. Why didn't you drop it? Why didn't you drop it?
From experience, yeah.
Nah, I'm fucking fluent.
As Elena had the word with you off camera.
No. Spanish is wicked, boy. It's better than my Welsh these days, my Spanish.
Oh, you're practicing every day, aren't you?
That's the thing, isn't it?
I'm going to shoot my bit of non-football trivia your way in a minute.
Go on, have it.
Go on then. So, Turkey is a transcontinental state. Do you know what that means?
It's between continents, between Asia and Europe.
Between Asia and Europe. There are 4 other countries in the world that span between Asia and Europe. Can you name me 2 of them?
Russia?
Russia is one. I believe it's it's obviously the biggest as well. So.
That's a great question. I was going to say India then. That's a bit colonial, isn't it? That's a crack. That'd be such a great pub quiz question. An Asian European country. I'm going to phone a friend. I'm going to ask Elena. Elena, can you think of a country that is in both Europe, like between Europe and Asia? Turkey and Russia. And can you name another one? Belarus. Belarus.
I don't know about those two. The answer's
Georgia.
Georgia. That's one of them. That's two.
You got it.
That's
You got
two.
it. God, look at you, Miss Geography. Yeah.
The other two I had were Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan. But
Kazakhstan class. I had Kazakhstan in my head, but I didn't think of it as being Europe.
Azerbaijan apparently as well, but it is quite close to Turkey.
I learned from the official FAW account the other day that Azer means fire in whatever language they speak in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijani?
Azerbaijani, yeah, probably. Should have probably had a look before we were planning on going, really.
And that Baku means city of wind. So yeah, right. I've got my bit of trivia for you. We're going to do this together, right? Because I don't know. Okay. So we're going to go for the top 10 most capped players in Wales, but in order. So I'm going to tell you in order. So I'm going to tell you the top 10 people, but we've got to put them in order. All right.
Okay.
So, Rushy, Ledley, Chris Gunter, Dean Saunders, Gareth Bale, Ashley Williams, Bellas, Gary Speed, Big Nev, and Wayne Hennessy. I think that's all 10.
So I think Gunter's got 101 now because he played he played one of the games recently.
Agreed. Gunter, he played against Albania, didn't he? Gunter's definitely.
So he's got to be top. And then is Hennessy or Big Nev the most capped goalkeeper? Is it Hennessy now?
I'm going to go with Hennessy, to be honest, because I'm pretty
he's got 96.
I'm pretty sure.
Big Nev's on 90 odd.
One of the Nations League game, he took over from Big Nev, I reckon. So should we go second, Henno?
Yeah.
Okay. Henno second. Third, Big Nev then, no?
Big Nev or Bale maybe. He's how many games is he off 99? Is it 6? You said that before. Is it if we get to the final or if we play in the final, that'll be his 99th cap?
3 group games, round of 16.
Quarter, semi, 7.
7, so 93 that would be. No, 92.
92.
And Big Nev?
Big Nev. 94 maybe? No. Was it quite a while ago Hennessy got overtook Big Nev, so maybe it's Bale then, Southall.
What you say?
I'll tweet him now, he might reply. There's a very good chance of that.
I'm going to say Big Nev third.
You happy with that? Let's go for that. Yeah, let's go for Big Nev. So Bale after him.
4th Bale it'll be then, won't it? Yeah, 4th Bale.
Who's left? There's Rush, Ledley, Williams,
Speedo, Saunders, Saunders, Ashley Williams.
I'm trying to think which one of them probably played for the longest.
Who do you think would come 10th?
Bottom out of all of those. Maybe Ashley Williams. Yeah, Ledley or Williams.
Ashley, maybe Ashley Williams or Joe Ledley, I reckon.
I'd say Ledley probably because they'll have a few injury issues and
let's go with Ledley.
Featured much or in the last few years especially.
Is he still contracted at Newport County?
I think it was a short deal. They got him on to the end of the year. So.
I'd love to see him.
I've heard some rumours about some Welsh Premier League sides looking. So David Edwards went to Bala today, didn't he?
Of course, yeah. There's a third player from the 2016 squad to be playing the Cymru Premier. What a great advert for it. They're hardly bloody, they're hardly donkeys, are they? They're not. They're still very respectable players, in my opinion.
Standard of football in the Welsh Premier League is not bad at all. You look at a player like Chris Venables, who's won the Golden Boot 5 times in the last 9 years. Playing for Bala, he's been cracking, yeah.
He's like the closest thing to Lee Trundle since Lee Trundle. Good. Okay, right. So far we've got 1 to 4, Gunter, Henno, Big Nev, Balo, and we've got Ledders at 10th. So what we've got left is Dean Saunders, Speed, Bellas, Ashley Williams, and Rushy.
Okay, I think probably the 2 highest are that would be Speed and Rush.
Do you reckon?
Do you reckon?
I think Speedo's a good shout to be quite high up there. Yeah. But Rushy, I think Rushy would be surprised though, because I don't know if he retired from international football quite early. I don't know if
What
I've
about
made
Dean Saunders then maybe?
Saunders possibly.
This is for anything before like the early 2000s. Straight over me.
Dean Saunders, I don't know. It depends if they were still drinking the game, innit? I mean,
Probably go for Speed at 5 then, maybe.
Let's go for Speed at 5. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Speedo at 5th. Right. So we've got 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th to go. So what I got left is Dean Saunders, Speedo, Speedo, not Bellas, Ashley Williams, and Rushy. I reckon number six, I'm gonna say you know what? I'm between Ashley Williams and Bellamy. I think Bellamy went on really far, didn't he?
For years and years.
He was like the only one for us at one point, wasn't he? You know. So I'm going to say
he was playing in the champion kits and that's like late 2000s.
I'm going to say Bellamy 6th.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Let's have it. Bella's at 6th. Okay. So now what have we got left? We've got Saunders,
Rush, and Williams.
Okay. What's your gut say?
With what you've said about Ian Rush, I'd probably go Ashley Williams, Ian Rush, and then Dean Saunders.
I don't know if I've made it up though. You know, I don't know if I've made it up. Okay.
I'm willing to trust you on this. I mean,
Dean
it'll be the first time I've trusted you and made a mistake. So.
Dean Saunders, Ashley Williams, and Rushy.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, what did you say? I thought I was repeating.
I had Saunders 9th, but actually I'm thinking he probably featured quite a lot, didn't he?
I don't know. I'm not actually that clued up on Dean Saunders. my first real sort of like the time I actually learned who Dean Saunders was when he was managing Wrexham. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's tricky.
Let's go Saunders 9th.
Yeah. And then do you want Williams over Rush or Rush over Ashley Williams?
I'm going to go Williams first. Captain it in started, you know. So let's go that. So William and Rushy. Okay. So
Coleman's captain as well, so quite a big chunk of time at the forefront of the team.
Very much so. Yeah. No Rambo.
That's
no Sparky.
Been missing quite a lot, Ramsey, in the last couple of years, so he's probably missed out on 15 maybe.
I think if he stayed fit after 2016, he'd be right up there with Bale in 4th, 3rd, that area. Right, so the order we've gone is most caps to least caps. Gunter, Hennessy, Neville Southall, Gareth Bale, Gary Speed, Craig Bellamy, Ashley Williams, Ian Rush, Dean Saunders, and Joe Ledley. Right, let's have a look then.
Ooh.
Okay, so number 1, Chris Gunter, good. That's 1 out of 10. Second, Henno, good, excellent.
Third, I do read things correctly.
3rd, Gareth Bale. You had it. You had it right. That was me. Okay, and 4th, Big Nev. So you had it right. Yeah. Gareth Bale on 92 caps, Neville Southall also on 92 caps. So
okay.
We can give
it. Doesn't really matter. If they're level, we got.
I'm not being funny, but I'm giving us that.
That's fine. I agree with you.
We're right until Saturday. So okay.
This is going on Friday and it's being recorded on Thursday night. So current they're level on caps.
Wow. Ashley Williams 5th. Wow.
How many caps are 80, 70?
85. That's right, 86 caps. 86 caps.
I should have known this because I did a little feature on him in my old podcast about when he retired, because it was quite recently, wasn't it? Should have remembered that.
He's what, 6 off Neville Southall? But yeah. Okay, so 6th Gary Speed. So we almost had it. We were close there. Wow. 7th Craig Bellamy. Oh, we've got that 3. In they're next to each other, but we've got them the wrong way around.
Jumbled
there. 7th Craig Bellamy with 78 caps. I'm surprised at that. I would have expected Bellas to have got more. Personally. Wow. Okay. 9th Dean Saunders. Oh, I've jumped one. No. 8th Joe Ledley. Joe Ledley 8th. Wow. More caps. More caps than Ian Rush. 75. Wow, 75. And you think about it, with Chris Coleman, he didn't play any friendlies. He was famously against them.
It was
But he
all
still got 77
competitive
caps.
games. But I guess you have a lot more competitive games nowadays because
That's very true.
I mean they've only just brought the Nations League in recently, so maybe not.
That's another really good point, actually. But so 8th, Joe Ledley. 9th, Saunders, we got that one right. And 10th, Ian Rush. Wow. God, that's surprising, you know.
That was. It's quite
it's interesting.
Quite turn up for the books, actually.
I'm going to go through it one more time. So Chris Gunter first with 101 caps. Wayne Hennessy second with 96 caps. Gareth Bale and Neville Southall equal at third and fourth with 92 caps. Ashley Williams with 86 caps at fifth. Gary Speed, 85 caps at sixth. Craig Bellamy, 78. Joe Ledley, 77. Dean Saunders, 75. And Ian Rush actually level with Peter Nichols on 73 for 10th. I didn't include Peter Nichols. I actually don't know a lot about Peter Nichols, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot. There's a big gap in our knowledge. From 1979 to 1992, it says his Wales career was. So he wasn't messing around, was he? But yeah.
No. That's a problem. Like none of my family are Welsh, support Wales or anything like that. So I don't really have got a call on so all the people that tell me the knowledge. I have to go research it myself or wait to be told on a podcast or a TV show. Just hang on. I thought trying not to spill any red stripe on the mic. Well, I'm running out of Heineken. I've got to save the ones with the Wales badge on for the game on Saturday. So.
Oh yes, good luck, Cham. Well, I'm quite lucky because my dad was one of the few that would trek down to the Millennium Stadium when it was with about 10,000 people in it. So he's quite good for this kind of thing. And I remember, I think my first game, in fact, was against Azerbaijan. And I went with my dad, and it was when it wasn't very good. No, it was before it went bad because we had Ernie up top. I remember I was feeling sick. Like little child sick when there's nothing wrong with you, but there is, So and we were losing against Azerbaijan like 2-1, and I was feeling sick, so we went home like 10 minutes before the end of the game, and Ernie scored to equalise. I think I'm gonna have to Google it to remember when that was, but yeah.
After probably a 6-hour drive down to Cardiff as well from rail, I can't believe you made your dad leave the stadium 10 minutes early.
I bet it was.
Thinking how much you'd pay for parking as well,
What we used to do back when was we would drive down and leave the car in Newport and get the train into Cardiff. Yeah. Right.
Tidy. Do you have any predictions for the Turkey game before we close all that off? I don't think we rounded that one up.
For the Turkey game, I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going for a Belgium-style victory. I'm going to say we go 1 down and we rally and we smash it. And I'm going to say a Gareth Bale goal. I'm going to say a Kiefer Moore goal. And I'm going to say a Joe Allen goal. Simply Joe Allen because, I don't know, Turkey, there's something, maybe it's because they play in red, but something tells me he'll score outside the box on a volley like he did against Moldova or whoever it was when he scored that beauty. So I'm going to go with that. What about you? What do you reckon?
I like your idea. I like the sound of the little man just popping up. We said earlier it's going to be a much more open game than the Swiss game first up. I think
it has to be just because of the stakes. The stakes in the second game of the group. If we don't get a result against Switzerland, contrary to what other people seem to be saying, I don't think it's game over. I still think we can get a result out of Turkey, and I think Turkey could definitely get a result out of Switzerland. I can definitely see us getting at least one win out of that group, which could very easily put us into the best losers category.
Yeah,
I think
for this one though. Sorry, I was just gonna say for this one though, I think if Page does want to set up with 5 at the back and not necessarily go a bit more defensively with the false 9, but you can still have Kiefer Moore in there with 3 forwards and 2 midfielders, 5 at the back. With sort of Turkey being a bit more expansive going forward, quite free scoring as well. They put 4 past the Dutch in the World Cup qualifiers. I think obviously they're missing Van Dijk, probably a few of the names not available for him, but
hit and miss the Dutch.
Hit and miss, yeah, because
Didn't
Bit of a
even
bogey
qualify.
team, bit of a dark horse for this
We've
year's tournament,
qualified.
maybe.
We've qualified for more things than the Dutch have in the past 10 years.
It's a good way
So
of looking at it.
fuck them.
So, yeah. But I'm going to be trying to be quite optimistic. I think we'll win 2-1. Don't have a clue of bloody score. I haven't been as ballsy on this prediction.
So both of us have gone for 6 points out of 6.
I think we might take the lead though in this one. Might go in at the break ahead and then sort of concede. Maybe, they might come out after the break, score early, and then, I don't know, I think we're going to be able to restrict the pressure, and we've got the quality players up top to get the job done. So who knows on the day.
I'd love to see another Nico Williams goal as well. Last few minutes,
That'd
Nico Williams to score. Can you imagine? Hairs standing up like.
Or all 7-foot Ruben Colwill coming on and shinning one in from a corner kick.
Like, quite clearly off his tits on steroids, Ruben Colwill. How old is he? How old is he? He's massive.
How are these child football players so massive? Do you remember seeing pictures of Lukaku when he was 15 and he was an absolute Adonis of a man without being not coming onto him too much? Like, it just defies logic for me.
Some people are just built as brick shithouses, aren't they?
Yeah, but also, he's a professional footballer at that age, so I guess he's going to be in the gym every day. But
a lot of
a compressor Lewis for I was going to say a compressor Lewis for a prescription. I couldn't because I didn't ask for one.
Lewis Parr, Dr. Rock.
Sports massages and Dr. Feelgood as well will get you there.
Aye.
Just make sure it's over the counter stuff because he had his med license stripped. I don't know if they have that over. I don't know subscriptions. But yeah, I don't want to be too ballsy with that game. And we have predicted 6 points from the opening too. But it is a tougher group than 2016. But I think the first two teams are playing the way the fixtures are fallen. We can sort of win 2 games, look maybe comfortable doing them, and go into Italy with 6 points.
I think at the end of the day as well, if we look back in 2016, we looked at Russia with the same sort of not fear, but like apprehensiveness is what we look at Turkey now, and look how that went. Yeah. We absolutely played them off the park. Probably the best game in Welsh football in history, on the biggest stage of them all. Well, not quite, second biggest stage of them all. Yeah. World Cup next, but
such a complete performance though in that Russia game.
Exactly. Where did we watch that one? In the King George's, no, opposite Wetherspoons and Sussex Street in Rill.
I wasn't at Rill for that one. I was in Leeds, I think.
Oh, really? No, it wasn't you. I watched it with Liam Parkinson and Sarah Nesplin, I think. And my little brother.
Actually, I watched it in the Royal Park pub because my flat backed onto that, didn't it?
That's true. Royal Park pub. What a weird pub that was.
If they could fit a pub from Rill and Leeds, it'd be that one or Headingley Taps.
Headingley Taps.
Great places.
Great place.
That's the one, right, with the scummy little car park and opposite that Arc one where they had the big bar fight that made it onto the news.
When I moved to Leeds for the first time in 2015, we obviously when my parents took me there and we dropped all the stuff off in the flat and everything. We went for the meal in the Headingley Taps. I mean, my parents at like 2 in the afternoon, and my dad had a steak with peppercorn sauce, and his peppercorn sauce had just a big pepper grain in it, and he bit into it. He was tearing up red in the face. So Headingley Taps is a special place in my heart there because it's one of the only places. Well, my dad cries all the time. He's like a bloody fountain. I've seen him cry. Well, I think last time I saw him cry was when we won the Champions League. But I don't know if that was just me crying and therefore just having my eyes sort of my vision impeded by my tears, just assuming everyone else is crying. But no, my dad cries all the time, but that was hilarious. That was so funny. So that's how I know the Headingley Taps.
I've also been for a meal with my parents in the Headingley Taps. It's quite fun, and we're quite content with cheap pub food and scummy little place where you can see the beer stains on the carpets.
Good old pub grub.
Place. Exactly, can't beat it.
Straight from the freezer into the microwave into my belly.
Proper British food, innit? Good.
Aye. Aye, that's something you don't miss, isn't it? You know,
I'll have a gammon with extra salt, please. Oh, I'm living in England now, mate. So.
that's something I won't miss is people going to Wetherspoons and that and thinking that they're having a fresh steak for £6.
You and Jack really smashed that illusion for me when I found out that there was a microwave job in the kitchen.
Everything.
But you know, how do they do it so cheaply? You've got to ask that, haven't you?
Honestly, I worked at Wetherspoons, didn't I? And not only is it a shite company to work for, but just the quality of customer, you know, imagine buying a steak for £6 and complaining about it. Well, it's a bit tough. It's like, yeah, of course it is. You pay more for bloody chewing gum, you know. State of people, honestly.
It's a bit tough. Well, yeah, we have to pump them full of steroids to make the cow go further. So come on, sir.
Honestly, sometimes I wonder what cow that is. Honestly, you know, like, can you imagine what cow produces £6 steak?
Do you remember the size of you remember that it also backed onto the Royal Park Flats in Leeds, Abu Bakr, that I won't say corner shop, but it was massive. It was like a full little supermarket.
That's classic.
The butchers in the back of there, the bloody steroid chicken. They had this fantastic butchers in the back, honestly. It was so nice. The chicken fillets and the chicken thighs were so massive. Never skip leg day, clearly, but it's like, what are you pumping into these animals? Like a chicken does not grow. You know, I've seen chickens. I'm not a farmer, but I know bloody how big a chicken breast is. Like, come on.
I have seen chicken. I have seen chicken.
I've seen chicken, right? I know the fucking shenanigans they get up to.
It's Abu Bakr for me. It's classic getting cash out for Brooder now.
And the various deliveries of grass utensils around Leeds, but we don't discuss that live on air. So.
Hey, well, let's move on, man. Let's move on to the UFC.
I know we've only got one fight to talk about. We mentioned it last week. Mason Jones fighting in UFC Vegas 28. It was Jairzinho Rosenstruck knocking out Augusto Sakai in the main event.
I've done my research on this one. I've actually watched the fight this time.
Impress me. Go on.
Well, no, I only watched the Mason Jones fight.
That's all right. That's right. That's what I want to talk about anyway.
What do you think, man? I think he came out very, very strongly, but defensively, you know, I felt that Patrick, obviously, I'm just going to say Patrick. In the time that we spoke since last Friday, I didn't work out how a Brazilian person would say Patrick. So Patrick, the most Brazilian Irishman in the world, came out like Alan Brazil, also Bob Brazil. He came out of the gates like a bloody mad bull, didn't he? He was mental. He was going swinging like a madman, gassed himself out immediately, and was on, you know, halfway through the first round, was on the ropes, was hanging in there for dear life, you know, waiting for the belt. Mason had him all over the place. I thought he was grabbing onto the cage like ridiculously, and I thought it was clear for me from that moment, you know, when Mason had him up against the cage and he was grabbing on, supporting himself with the cage. I thought it's quick, you know, it's got this guy's going nowhere fast. And then there was a no contest call from the eye poke. Well, if you're grabbing onto the cage to keep yourself up and everything, and they ask you, can you see after a dodgy little eye poke like that? And you say no, it's quite clear where your model's lying. So yeah, I thought it was an absolute quality fight for Mason, and it's really disappointing for him to have had, you know, his second UFC fight to perform the way he did. Having now watched the first fight that he had as well, you know, his lead chin, you know, the way
absolutely solid.
He sucked those punches in, you know, to go two fights for that win is devastating for the lad. He really deserved more from that, and it's such a massive shame. And you saw it, you know, in his face. And he kept himself together. He was very polite to the ref after it all kicked off and everything. But man, he must be seething inside because he knows he could see. That's the kind of eye poke. We've all been poked in the eye. Maybe not by a professional fighter, but are you telling me he couldn't see? I'd like to see what he looked like the next day, because I can tell you his eye would not look any different to what it did in that moment. So I I thought it was a bit of a robbery, and I feel for the lad. I really do, and I really hope he gets, you know, like a compensation fight soon to get that first UFC win, because I don't see any other result happening when he gets it, because he's going to be so hungry now.
You have hit every point on the head there, mate. I have to say, fair dues. You know, it's a bit of a frustrating end to this one. Like you said, I thought Mason came out so well in the fight. He was striking incredibly well. He was right in the pocket. His accuracy was on point. I think a criticism of the first fight he had against Mike Davis was maybe he wasn't sort of looking to set his angles and set his punches as much as he was just throwing, you know, with as much as he could. But you know, your first UFC fight, you're coming in as a two-weight world champion from Cage Warriors. You're going to want to make a big statement. Much tougher opponent in his first fight than he had in the second fight as well, I have to say. Mike Davis is a really hot prospect, really high-level boxer. You know, you saw the fight was basically on its feet for 15 minutes. I think both men landed a takedown each. Davis might have got two, but you said as well, both men's chin held up. He was landing really well on the counter as well. You summed it up very well. Patrick gassed out in the first round. He was done by the end of the second round, or by the time the fight was waved off. That happened last time he fought. I think it was late 2020. He came up against Bobby Green. Admittedly, it was his first fight back after about 2 years of an injury layoff, but still, his cardiovascular systems weren't there and he gassed out. I think it was sort of a slipped shot over the shoulder that sort of, because he was reaching forward and sort of poked him in his eye. You know, as someone who watches MMA basically every weekend.
He was getting his range. That was all it was.
Exactly, it's just range finding. But someone who watches MMA regularly, you hit the point right on the head. He got poked in the eye. The doctor asked him once or twice, "Can you see out of it?" "No, I can't." "Can you see out of it?" "No, I can't." "Okay, fight's off then." In a situation like that, eye poke, groin shot, illegal strike like that, knee to the head, the referee and the doctor are meant to allow the fighter 5 minutes to recover, and at the end of that 5-minute period, they can either stop the fight or continue it, as to the fighter, doctor, and referee's discretion. So
it's interesting to say that, because I know a hell of a lot less than you and everything, and I was thinking surely they can just give him a minute.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They've just put this rule in now because it got to a point where people were taking varying amounts of time off for an eye poke or a nut shot. The crowd would start booing because, you know, they're all pissed up and they want to see two lads banging it out. Fair enough. I understand if you're a UFC event, but, you know, it wasn't Daniel Cormier and Stipe's third fight, the massive eye poke DC suffered in that. Like you said, not even the next day, 30 seconds later, Daniel Cormier's eye was out here. He could not see out of it for the last 2 rounds, I think. Leon Edwards, who's fighting this weekend, the chap from Birmingham, he had an unlucky eye poke against Bilal Muhammad, but again, reaching forward. But you could see instantly Bilal Muhammad going down, screaming, holding his eye. You could hear him crying. He was really worried he was going blind, but that's happened to him a few times before. But you can tell the difference when it's a proper eye poke like that affects the fighter, as to, I think Michael Bisping and Dominic Cruz summed it up perfectly on the commentary team. A crafty veteran move, looking for a way out, when Diego Sanchez has done it recently as well. Took an illegal knee to the head, down for 5 minutes. Like, oh, you know what, I can't do that. I can't carry on. Gets a no contest. And well, he got the win because it was an illegal strike. So we've got a win instead of a loss. Aljamain Sterling in the bantamweight title fight, the most recent one, took an illegal knee while he was down against Piotr Jan, dived around for 5 minutes, pretending to be concussed, and then won the belt by disqualification. It's crafty moves like that. And like you said, it's done. How well has Mason performed in his first 2 fights? And he's got a loss and a no contest to show for it. It's such a shame for the lad, but I don't think it's harmed his stock any with the UFC. Honestly, he lives in America now as well, and he trains over there. So just give him a quick turnaround, like you said, get him back in there as soon as possible. Get him in there with another of the unranked lightweights who hasn't got a matchup at the minute. You basically having cards every weekend. He's going to get the UK audience watching, because there's a lot of English lads. I know a lot of lads from the UK as well, Scotland, Northern Ireland, that are really stoked on him because he's fought in Cage Warriors. So, you know, you get the European audience in. I
mean, you look at all the other Welsh lads that have come through from Cage Warriors, especially to the UFC. Brett Johns, Jack Marshman. I can't remember them. Jack Short, and what's the other lad?
John Phillips.
John Phillips. I can't say Jack Shore aside, because I think Jack Shore is someone else. But I can't say that any of the other lot have performed nearly as well as Mason Jones has in his 2 fights, and he's not got nothing to show for it. It's gutted. It's devastating for that.
the potential he shows as well. He's still only 25. I think he's 26 now. So super young for a fighter.
I just hope it doesn't sort of stick to him, you know, because at the end of the day, it's fickle, isn't it? Combat sports are fickle. Your record doesn't, you know, you could have gone, you know, 3 rounds full on and lost it in the last minute on a really dodgy sort of call, and that's what you'd be remembered for. You know, your numbers. It's stats and stuff at the end of the day, innit? So I just hope it doesn't stick with him. I hope he gets the chances he deserves, and I hope he comes back stronger, because he's got every attribute you'd be looking for. I thought his control in the grapple and everything like that was outstanding against Patrick and stuff. And I think you know, there's been a lot of talk about this recently in combat sports and stuff, with, you know, taking the easy way out and everything with Daniel Dubois and stuff like this.
Taking the knee against Joe Joyce.
Exactly, yeah. You look at that and then you compare it to Patrick. And 2 different things in it. 2 different things. Patrick, he bitched out. to put it bluntly, he bitched out of it at the end of the day. He knew he was going to lose. He took it's like a professional foul. He's quit. He's quit in the face of the fight, and unfortunately doesn't have it on his record to show.
Do you remember I think I said the Last Dance documentary, when you see videos of like Michael Jordan going down for the really soft, obvious fouls, but he'll get tapped and then they sort of fold in half like a deck chair. Like when you turn one of those inflatable men off, it's just a bit like that. How he sort of went down after the end. He's like, the referee's like, can you see? He's like, what? Oh, no, boss. No, I can't see out of the house. Who are you? Sorry, you're the referee. Oh, no, you're the doctor. Shit, okay.
Are you asking if I can see? Or if I can see, you know?
I can see I'm not going to have a loss on my record after tonight, sir. So call this off, please. But yeah, just get him back in there as soon as possible. I say he's like you said, his attributes are very well rounded already. But he says, like, you can see he struggled a bit with Davis's sort of wrestling in that fight. You know, he shot a couple of takedowns on him and got him down a few times. Didn't really do much with him, admittedly, but he's in America at Uriah Faber. I think he's working at the UFC Performance Institute, or one of them, because there's quite a lot of them. But he's working with Uriah Faber's team, Team Alpha Male. He's got Corey McKenna, the youngest female athlete on the UFC roster, who's also Welsh. She's training there too, so a bit of a Welsh connection for him. They're very wrestling heavy gym. Uriah Faber's a really high level college wrestler back in his day, I think. You know, the Team Alpha Male guys, they've always got really good ground game. Not so much known for their striking, I'd say, but really good ground game, good front headlock position, really tight guillotines. That's why he needs to.
I thought his ground and pound was really good, actually, to be honest. I thought he was
he's solid in a it's more wrestling defense, I think, the European guys struggle with, because, you know, if you're on the mat from 6, 7, 8 years old, like they are in America, you're doing it constantly. It's second nature to you, I guess.
But I mean, he was chucking elbows like mad and everything. I thought the ref was seconds away from stopping it at points.
Oh, definitely. He was leading into, I think it was Chris Tione in charge.
He was getting in close, definitely. So it's a shame he didn't, really, because it's what he deserved, isn't it? But there
definitely. I've got a couple of names I was thinking they can match him up against. In terms of unranked lightweights, obviously there's quite a lot out there, but a lot of them are matched up recently because of the card every bloody weekend. You look at someone like Roosevelt Roberts, he's coming off a no contest as well for at the tail end of last year, I think, or it might have been early this year, to be fair. I think as well, you want to put him against a more established fighter. Maybe there's Louis Pena. He fought in maybe a co-main event or on the main cards earlier in 2021. One of my favourite nicknames in MMA as well, the Violent Bob Ross, because he's the
Violent Bob Ross. The Violent Bob Ross. Wicked.
Great name. And maybe someone like John McDessie, or bit of a bigger name, so quite tough striker, Canadian as well, so he's going to have that solid rest. I think he might train at TriStar as well, which is George St. Pierre's old gym. Not 100% sure on that, but that's one of the big gyms in Canada anyway. But just get Mason Jones back in there, UFC. Come on, bloody needs some good news for the lad. He's had 2 cracking fights. He's got no wins to show for it. I reckon, you know, in a couple of years, he could be making a run at the top 15 of that lightweight division when that all settles down a bit more, because it is very hectic at the minute. You know, you've got Oliveira's just taken the belt. It was him and Chandler fighting for the vacant title. McGregor and Poirier fighting very soon. Justin Gaethje is looking for a matchup. There's Beneil Dariush coming off a win. He beat Tony Ferguson. It breaks my heart to see Tony losing so much. you know, that division is just so stacked. He could be one of the next guys coming through in the next few years.
Right. But at the end of the day, you know, we were filled with hope a couple of years ago with the additions to the roster, as you know, Jack Marshman, Brett Johns, and John Phillips and everything. And it's not really gone to plan. But then you look at Jack Shaw and Mason Jones and everything going through now, and I get that same sort of buzz, but I feel a bit more assured now. I feel a bit more like these guys are going in a bit more clued up on what's to come. You know, especially Jack Shaw. I think Jack Shaw is an incredible prospect. I'm really excited by him. I followed him throughout Cage Warriors, and I'm not. Although I do really enjoy it when I watch it, it's probably because it's dead late. I don't watch it all that often. I'm very happy to admit I'm not an expert on it. But when I watch Jack Shaw fight, I never feel like he's out of control in any way, shape, or form. And I think between the two of them, we've got two really great prospects, and we can hold our heads up high and say although our forefathers, if you want to call it, of Welsh UFC fighters have sort of gone different ways now. We're here. We've got our foot in the door now. We're quite comfortably here, and we've got some great prospects going forward. And I can see us doing great things in the future. So it's exciting. It's good. And I like you said, I just hope that Mason Jones gets another bite of the carrot soon to recompensate for his absolute his robbery, and see what happens in it. See what happens.
I have to say that the UFC, they do have the problems of fighter pay and other issues and contract negotiations, but in my opinion, they do usually try and reward fighters who want to fight and want to stay active. So if he wants to do that and he's living over in America now and training there, he's in the right place to do that. The amount of events are happening in Vegas and Florida and Texas at the minute, because they're some of the only places that are open, and for fans and stuff like that. All the Apex events in Vegas, because that's the studio where they do like Dana White's Contender Series. They're usually behind closed doors, but they've done like one of the lightweight title fight that was in Houston, I think. That was in Texas, and then Kamaru Usman and Masvidal, that was in Florida, because that's where Masvidal fights out. So they've had some massive events in front of 50,000+ people. But yeah, like you said, I think we've got that next generation of like that second wave of like Welsh mixed martial artists coming through now. But you look at Brett Johns, he's a grappler, he does judo, he does jiu-jitsu. You have elements of wrestling that come into that. Doing MMA, you have elements of striking that come into that. But a lot of the first generation or like second generation MMA fighters in the UK, they start in one discipline and then they train the others around that and build the game around the one they specialize in, and sort of add the others in later. You've got lads coming through now like Jack Shaw. I think he's a 5-time British Jiu-Jitsu champion in the sort of youth categories. But also he's been training elements of MMA his whole life. But there's a lot of lads coming through now, and lasses too, who are training MMA as a sport, and then you break the striking into it, like the boxing and the kickboxing, the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu. And then, if you're doing that from the time you're 10, 12, 14, 16, instead of, you're a boxer that sort of learned how to sprawl on a few takedowns and hold on to a guillotine, you've got a more well-rounded out game. And that's why we've struggled against like the American and the other European fighters, and the Brazilians as well. They've always been phenomenal at MMA, but it's good to see. Like you said, it's good to see. And seeing Mason Jones, Blind Avon, Jack Shaw from Abertillery, Corey McKenna as well, it's going to inspire the next generation of young Welsh people to want to take up the sport. And if they don't take MMA, they take up boxing or judo or another martial art or a combat sport. It's great for people. It's what we want to do. It's what we want to see.
Well, yeah, then. Excellent.
Very happy about it. Yeah, so we're going to end with a little bit of music today. So, Sam, what have you been listening to recently? I'll pose it to you.
So I've gone on it at the Welsh angle on this, and I'm going to go for an album and a single that that come from Wales in the past couple of weeks that have been outstanding. I'll start with the album, which is Gruff Rhys' new album, which is an obvious choice. Gruff Rhys, of course, lead singer, guitarist, and songwriter of the Super Furry Animals, with his seventh solo album. Seeking New Gods is the title, and it's really, really good, building on similar themes that we saw from Babelsberg, but going a completely different direction to what we heard with Pang, which is his more recent Welsh language album. I thought, well, I've been listening to it pretty heavily, to be honest, since it came out, and I've got to say it's outstanding. Probably my favorite solo album of his. I was a massive fan of Babelsberg as well, of American Interior as well. Suferiano was my first ever gig. I've got massive connections to him. I'm a huge fan. Probably if I could choose to meet any celebrity, if you could call them celebrities, tomorrow, I would definitely choose Gruff Rhys. I'm a huge fan. I'm a big admirer. So, this isn't going to be the most biased. It is going to be the most biased review you'll hear of it. But I thought it was great. So it's called Seeking New Gods. It's a concept album. It's all based around the life cycle of a volcano. I can't remember which volcano now, but it's a specific volcano. It's all written from the point of view of the volcano itself, as it ages, as it sees things come and go, and it's excellent. But typical to Gruff Rhys form. If you scratch a bit below the surface, you can see, every sort of spectrum that he does. Something so special about Super Animals and Gruff Rhys himself is how he jumps from the absurd to the deeply profound, from the societal commentary to worldwide societal commentary to societal commentary regarding rural Wales and everything like this, and you can see it all in that album. It's absolutely brilliant. It's really, really good. Some really great introspective stuff as well. I'd say the best track on the album for me would be the opener, actually, which is Mausoleum to My Former Self, I think is the title. I can't remember something, but it's excellent. I really recommend it. Have you had the chance to listen to it yet, man?
I think I've only listened to the first track off it. I think it is Mausoleum to My Former Self, but like you just said, the thing that's most impressed me always about Gruff Rhys' songwriting, just the how do you say it? Poeticity of the lyrics, just
poeticism, I think.
Poeticism. Let's go for that, teacher man. Thank you. But no, just the way he writes his lyrics, and like you said, he can jump between the absurd. You think of the Super Fairy Animals song titles to the profound, and it's a bit more like a social commentary than he's writing sort of the lyrics of a song. And I just think as well, so the interesting instrumental structures he uses in his solo stuff, like there's some really weird, cool sounds of the Super Fairy Animals, but is it Can Kian? What's the keyboard player's name? He does a lot of the soundscaping and that, doesn't he? So I guess that's the fella. So I think Gruff probably does a lot more of composition and instrumentation on his solo stuff himself. He might work with a few people in the studio, but
I think it's actually Sweet. I can't remember the name of the guy, but Sweet Babu, another great Welsh solo artist. Sweet Babu is involved in the instrumentation, and the singer also of Ninebach. Can't remember the name. She's also involved in the backing vocals. Who is also in? I think it's Lisa Thomas, but I don't want to say the wrong name. But outstanding. Honestly, everything about it is so cool. So cool. If you're a fan of Super Animals, you're a fan of Gruff Rhys, you're a fan of that kind of acoustic driven. I don't want to use the word ballad. Sort of that open, sort of proggy acoustic band style, then you're going to love it. It's excellent. I think it actually in its first week debuted in the top 10 the album charts in the UK, beating Elton John by like 30 copies or something like that, which is absolutely brilliant. It's great to see. So big up Gruff Rhys, well done. Now the other track I wanted to talk about, and this is a symbol, is by a band called Y Sybs. So coming from the Welsh language point of view now, Y Sybs with the new album Llygaid. New song Llygaid, which is Eyes. Good on, yeah, Eyes. Again, really, really great. Y Sybs have been around for quite, not a long time, but for quite a while now. I mean, quite far away from the sort of Cardiff Welsh language music scene as it goes at the moment. But they have been knocking around for a while, but they haven't really committed much to record. Paid Gofyn Pam was, I think, their debut single, which... again, outstanding, but they are really sort of making a name for themselves as one of the best up-and-coming Welsh language acts. The style of music, if you had to put a name to it, would probably be kind of sort of psyche, sort of garage, indie kind of approach to it. Obviously, guitar-driven, some great sort of flangy guitars, typical sort of psych style. and it was really, really, really cool. Great lyrics as well, and I definitely recommend you to give it a listen. I think it's for me, it's going to be straight onto my summer playlists. You know, it's one of them. It's got a lovely sort of strange and intriguing guitar lines that, you know, you look for with those open notes, and you'd love it. I think you particularly, Martin, you really dig it. So give us Sybs a listen as well. You really like it. Outside of Wales, though, of course, it's been a massive week for releases. So the other two releases I wanted to focus on are the new album from Wolf Alice, which is Blue Weekend. No,
Blue Weekend, that's the one. Third studio release from Wolf Alice.
Which, I'm not being funny, is definitely a rip-off of New Order. That's the first thing I thought. And the other one is Jubilee by Japanese Breakfast. Now, let's start with Blue Weekend, because it's something we've both had a chance to listen to. So what did you reckon of the new Wolf Alice album?
I didn't think it was a bad record. Probably 4 or 5 songs I quite enjoyed on it, and I thought the rest was just a bit to fill it out. You know, I think we discussed this when we were talking about what to talk before the recording, but when you have a debut album, as in our opinion, as good as My Love Is Cool was. I think it was 2015 that came out, so it was like 6 years ago now.
God, that's
so it's
mental,
going to be hard
isn't
to live up. It's crazy, mate. We were that's
Depressing.
the year we started uni. That's the year we started uni. So that's how long ago it is.
That's depressing, Martin.
But to me, in the last 10 years, I can't think of many bands that have released a better debut album than that, in my opinion, as a humble music graduate. But like, you know, when you have such a good first release from that, you said it before, we're always going to be comparing it to every other release I do after that. I thought the second album, the Divisions of Life, it was a bit of a step down from the first one.
But it wasn't the Mercury Prize and everything.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
It was
that's the thing. In terms of the songs they wrote, they were fantastic. I thought every song on the album was quite solid, and it's just the instrumentation and the actual sound of each song they changed up a bit. They went a bit less sort of garage, alt rocky, bit more sort of, I don't know if art rock's the right word, but they weren't relying so much on the instruments to create sort of the grit of the music anymore. Ellie was using a voice a lot more instead. There's more of an instrument instead of just an accompaniment. And, you know, she got a crack. You said it before. She got a cracking set of pipes on her. So
yeah, I think
use them.
This new album is definitely, for me, Ellie's album. You know, I think from my very first impression, for the first time I listened to it, I was listening to it on the bus ride home from Vigo, and the first thing that hit me was, oh God, Ellie sounds great on this album. The vocal melodies are expansive. You can hear it's so heavily tracked. There's so many different sort of harmonies going on in the background and everything. And I think she's really put a stamp, or she's put a foot down and declared herself really as like the indie musician of the UK in 2021. And I think this album she is the star of this album. Whereas maybe, for the first album, My Love Is Cool, is definitely a band album. I think Ellie has really shown that she's not like the others, not in that band. I mean, in the rest of the scene, she's something special, and she's got, she's grown so much, and God knows where she'll go, and where the rest of Wolf Alice will go. The band together. But for me, yeah, that's what I got from it. This is a vocal album more than anything. What I got from this was what a singer. There's some great tracks on it, definitely. I think Smile, which one of the lead singles before the album was released, is a great track, really, really good. Really sort of fits the kind of feel of where we're at as a society in 2021. I thought it really grabbed that well, without stepping into sort of cheesy, trying too hard to be relevant sort of style, which loads of bands do these days. That was great. I thought Last Man on Earth, which was the lead single, I think
that was the first single that came out, I think. Yeah.
Didn't like it when I heard it first. I've listened to it a good few times.
On me quite a bit, I have to say. I wasn't a fan either when they dropped.
Yeah, now I'm a massive fan. It's probably my favorite track on the album, actually, now, which never happens to me usually. When a first single comes out, I either love it or hate it, and that sticks with me, and that's just me being stubborn usually. But that track has really, really grown on me. And I think the more, I've listened to it a good few times now, and every time I've listened to it, I've liked it more. And I do reckon the Wolf Alice album is going to be a shower, not a grower. A grower, not a shower. It's gonna grow on us more and more and more. And I just hope it grows on us to the point, like I said, where with the first album, it's unfair to compare it back to what they were doing when they're in their probably early 20s and everything like that. But at the end of the day, that album, for me and you, I mean, that was like one of our albums, you know, as with our friendship and everything. It's a huge album.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah, we'll always remember it fondly, and we'll always compare it back to the first album. I hope that, you know, when we're chatting again in a month's time or something, we'll be saying, God, are you still listening to Blue Weekend? Because it's wicked there. So we'll see what happens. The other album I wanted to talk about was Japanese Breakfast, which is an American artist, Michelle Zona, I think she's called. I'm a big fan. I've been a big fan for a couple of years now, Japanese Breakfast. So she's a Korean American artist. It's kind of like one of these things. It's like a solo project with a fixed band. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And she's just released a new album, Jubilee, which is her third album after Psychopomp and Soft Sounds from Outer Space, I think it's called. God, I'm not on the board today with these names. But I got into Japanese Breakfast a few years ago when I was living in Doncaster in South Yorkshire.
Hey, Donny Soldier.
Yeah, dark times. And you know what I really enjoyed about Japanese Breakfast was, you know, the sort of sincerity around it all. A lot of her music has been based around the loss of her mother, being a second generation immigrant in the United States. I think she was actually born in Korea, but, you know, grown up in America, sort of coming to terms with her identity in America without her mother, who was the driving force behind her Korean identity. So obviously, you know, not the happiest of topics. So the first couple of albums have been quite somber, more sort of shoegazy style, you know, that sort of, you know, Wall of Sound, that kind of Mitski-esque melancholy, things like that. And the first two albums are outstanding. But this next album, Jubilee, is unbelievable. Album of the year so far. I'd be surprised if anything beats it for the rest of the year. Unbelievable album. I recommend anybody to listen to it. It's got everything you could possibly want from it. It's got some big pop songs, you know, some really poppy 1975-esque, you know, really bright guitar, really, you know, memorable choruses and everything. Outstanding, really good. And it goes from, you know, the highs of Be Sweet, which is the lead single of the album, which, like I said, is that sort of 1975 style song with a really bright guitar, a really great chorus, really like this. And it goes from that, the highs of that, to the lows of other songs like Posing in Bondage, which is a bit of a more than PG song title, but it's great. Honestly, it's unbelievable. And that goes into the more sort of electronic side. Those arpeggios, those are like electronic arpeggios inside it. Oh, unreal! That gives
I
you
know
that
you're
really...
a fan of an arpeggiator.
Oh, I am. You know I am. So it gives that really sort of Jamie XX sort of, you know, like euphoric feeling over that melancholic sort of like downbeat vocal melody. It's outstanding. I can't recommend it enough. I reckon album of the year for me so far, Jubilee by Japanese Breakfast.
You've really sold that to me, actually, mate. I think when we jump off in a minute, I might go and have a listen to that before bed, because I mean, they're quite nice to drift off to. I've just had an idea on the fly. What we're gonna do tomorrow or something? We'll get a track from, or like the single that you said, then we'll get a track from, or you can pick one off each of the other three albums. We'll do a little playlist for that, whack it on Spotify, and everyone can have a look at the have a look at the tracks we're talking about. We can throw one from the Wallflowers album on there as well. Ask Lewis if he's been listening to anything as well. He is a fan of his music, but nothing that has anything electronic based in it. He's not a fan of it. That's a bit of an inside joke.
It'll be Guns N' Roses or something, won't it? You know?
Axl Rose, but he's wearing the dry gork, so you know he can't complain. He probably would if you paid them enough money.
Axl Rose.
Axl Rose. Anyway, any other anecdotes you want to end on today, or shall we wrap up a bumper show to prep for Euro 2020?
Oh, I just can't wait, Martin. I'm so excited. On Wednesday, which is the Turkey game, I've got a class which is from 6 here, so 5 there, 5 until 6. So I'll be missing the first bit of the Turkey game.
Oh,
but
mate, that's unlucky.
It's just one lad and he's dead sound, so I'm going to have it on the radio, I reckon. I'm teaching I'll have Radio Wales on, and I'm going to have the Turkey game on the radio. So, you know, enjoy it for me. But Saturday is all about Switzerland. I'm going to be in full Wales gear. I'm going to have my bucket hat on in the house. I'm going to be walking around with a flag draped on me. My flag's getting put out the window very soon. I might actually tomorrow go scouring in some pubs to try and find, just like if I bribe someone to put the Wales game on, because I wouldn't mind watching it in the pub, because here it's pretty normalised nowadays, the pubs. But I just can't wait. I can't believe we're finally here.
I think after waiting another year as well, the excitement's just built even more. But do you remember when you were quite young and it'd be a World Cup year and it gets to the week before the World Cup and it's the slowest fucking week in the world?
Aye.
That's been this week for me, mate. I'm 24 and I'm excited as I was as a 14-year-old or a 10-year-old child waiting for the World Cup. Like, it's great.
I'm really gutted I can't be there in Wales to watch with all my mates. I'm gutted that my mates in Wales can't be there to watch it with their mates in the fan zones like we had.
And I'm gutted we're not in fucking Baku either, mate. That's the other.
Gutted I'm not in Baku. Aye. But there we go. We'll enjoy it all the same. We'll enjoy it all the same. Get behind the boys, and whatever Rob Page puts out, whatever 11 he puts out, we'll be right behind him, no matter what. On this podcast, we don't hate, we appreciate, So, come on, Cymru.
Come on, Cymru. Rob Page's Red and White Army, and going to try and coin it as a bit of a catchphrase, but we don't talk about Ryan Giggs.
We don't talk about Ryan Giggs.
Let's leave that shit aside and look forward to making a lump of cheese out of the Swiss and kebab in the Turks. I was trying to make some food puns there, but we'll be back same time next week on Sport and Area Radio as well. Not Sport. That's the red stripe getting to me. It's been a while since I've been in Leeds, so that stuff's probably lethal in Chester. We'll have a little bit of a chat about the two games that happen over the coming week. We'll have a little bit of a preview about Football d'Italia as well. So. So Dan James can round Donnarumma like Bellamy did Buffon. Looking forward to it as well, mate. I'll enjoy both the games. I'll have a little chat to you. I'm sure we'll converse during the Switzerland game and Turkey game, and I've got Lewis will throw his 2 cents in about why we should definitely start 5 at the back.
Oh well, there you are.
I'm grilling him, and he's not even here to defend himself. Sorry, Lou.
Seriously, right. Apologies, mate. Right for being busy.
Sorry for wanting to keep get another job after your one finishes, mate. Come on. Priorities, son.